Center for the Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on the relationship between rule of law and the Constitution. We are beginning our second unit of civics. In this unit, you will learn more about the nature of limited and unlimited government. You will also develop your understanding of the necessity of rule of law and the importance of fighting against corruption. I believe this will be a very important and interesting unit. In this lesson, we will focus particularly on the relationship between rule of law and the Constitution. We will learn about the similarities and differences between the federal and regional state constitutions. Are you ready to begin, students? Let us get started. I would like to ask you to define several important terms, students. Do you have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil ready? Please assemble your writing materials and write definitions of rule of law and federalism.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up! Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again, students. These definitions should have been easy for you to recall from your previous studies. Rule of law means that all citizens are subject to the law and are equal under the law. It means that the law is supreme in the country. No person or government system is above the law. Federalism is a system of government in which several states form a unity but remain independent in internal affairs. In a federal government, there is a central government and individual regional state governments. They work together to share power and responsibilities. If your definitions were similar to these, students, good work. Previous Ethiopian constitutions were adopted for a unitary government. This means that there was one central government that ruled the country. The 1995 Constitution was the first federal democratic constitution in Ethiopia. In earlier grades, you have learned that rule of law prevails in democratic countries that have democratic constitutions. This is because democracy places value on the equality of all people, and rule of law renders all citizens equal under the law. Ethiopia has a federal system of government, meaning that there are federal and regional state governments. Ethiopia is divided into 9 states. You can see the state divisions on the map on the screen. As well as the Constitution of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, each of the 9 states has its own constitution. The federal government exercises powers over the whole country. The regional states have their own legislative, executive, and judiciary bodies. There are some similarities between the Constitution of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and the constitutions of the 9 states. Let us discuss them. Both the federal constitution and the state constitutions state that power can only be assumed according to the law. Everyone is subject to the law and the jurisdiction of the states. Government and citizens act in accordance with the Constitution, and the basic rights of citizens are respected. The constitutions prohibit government officials from violating the laws of the country. They underline the need to promote democracy in the country. Their objective is to guard and protect the fundamental freedoms and rights of citizens. The constitutions function to bring about social, political, economic, and cultural justice throughout Ethiopia. These are the similarities between the federal constitution and the state constitutions. Students, what do you think some of the differences are between them? Work with a classmate to create a list.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Thank you for participating in this activity, students. The federal and regional governments work hand in hand to lead the country, but they do not interfere with one another's roles and responsibilities. For instance, the federal government is responsible for matters of national finance, defense, and security. On the other hand, state governments are responsible for police organizations and healthcare within their states. The constitutions of the 9 states are designed to meet the goals and objectives of the federal constitution. They have also been formulated according to the specific needs and goals of each particular state. Often, these needs and goals are related to cultural and ethnic differences as well as economic circumstances. The federal constitution sets limits and provides direction for the administrative activities of regional states. Sometimes the federal and regional governments work together to share responsibilities. One example is the collection of tax and revenue, which takes place both at the regional and the federal level. There are certain questions of policy that require federal and regional governments to work together as well. One of these is the official language for education. Ethiopia is a diverse country with many different linguistic groups. Some people question the value of being educated in their mother tongue if no one else will be able to understand them when they leave their region. All Ethiopian students are taught in English starting in grade 5. Students, this is the end of our lesson about the relationship between rule of law and the Constitution. We have learned how the Federal Democratic Constitution of Ethiopia upholds rule of law within the country. We have also learned about the similarities and differences between the federal and state constitutions. In our next lesson, we will learn about the necessity for rule of law. Until then, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.